Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Today we've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. The words felt calm leaving my lips, far too calm for the storm churning inside me. My wife, Alara, paused, her movements fluid as she changed out of her work clothes. We'd been together for 32 years. What do you know? She asked, her voice even. It was Thursday evening, like so many lately. She was at least 2 hours late, despite her office being a mere 15-minute drive away. I know you're cheating on me, I said, the accusation a bitter taste. I suspect it's been going on for a while, given how little we've, in the past year. She scoffed. We haven't had sex because you can't anymore. You started having problems, and as soon as those meds came into the picture, all you could do was gain weight. Those medications, I ground out, are the only thing keeping me from a stroke, a heart attack, or worse. My teeth clenched. My blood pressure had become a cruel joke, spiraling out of control almost overnight. One moment, I was so low I could barely stand. The next, my pulse roared in my ears, a pounding behind my eyes. I'd woken up in a hospital, no idea where I was, only to learn I'd been in a semi-coma for 3 weeks. That was 7 months ago. Now, heavy doses of medication kept my blood pressure stable, but my body's own instrument had simply stopped working. I was constantly on edge, tense, but the little guy down below remained lifeless. It was endlessly frustrating, and the antidepressants only made it worse. Even the little blue pill did nothing but give me a headache. Sometimes, I'd wake up with a flicker of life, usually in the mornings. Enough blood flow to be noticeable, but never enough for Alara. I could feel everything, and finding my own release brought fleeting relief. But the inability to truly connect, to fully engage, only twisted the knife. If she was frustrated, I was outright enraged. Still, none of it excused her actions. Don't try to pull the wool over my eyes, I said, my voice cold. There are plenty of ways to be close, to share intimacy. It used to be a big part of us, even before things went downhill for me. Fine, she snapped. Lie down, and you can do something for me. Maybe I'll return the favor if you put in the effort. You know I'm not shy, and don't act like you don't take care of things yourself when you need to. Yes, like I'm going to do that for you now, I snarled. I have no intention. I'd bet your underwear is soaked with your boyfriend's juices, just like it is 4 or 5 times a week. Her expression shifted from surprise to a dark fury. You've been inspecting my underwear? That's a disgusting invasion of my privacy. You're worried about your privacy? I asked, incredulous. Not the fact that I know you're sleeping with other men? I can't find relief unless I take care of it myself. But you're out there having sex like an adulteress. Don't call me that, Alara snapped. You know I have needs. I've always been a very sexual person. I offered you other forms of intimacy, and you refused. I made peace with the fact that I had a choice, I countered. Stay by your side as a husband and companion, or watch you die in a coma. Do you know how hard it was to see the love of my life lying there? Helpless? I changed the diapers they put on you. It was humiliating and disgusting. But I did it. It was my duty as your wife to help you get through it. I still come home every day to be with you. I only go out on Friday nights. You come home 2 hours late 4 or 5 times a week, even though our house is just a few minutes from your office, I pressed. Your Friday night outings happen without me, and this has been going on for a long time. I know you're not just having drinks with your colleagues. You meet men, dance, drink, and then sleep with them. You offered me intimacy after being with another man, and you know it. Yes, there were a few times you offered to help me find some relief, but you just wanted to get it over with quickly. Of course I refused. Suddenly, Alara shifted tactics. Listen, I admit it. I've had sex with another man. Like I've told you before, I have needs, but there's absolutely no emotional connection between us, unlike what we have. I think of him as a toy. We've always had a few toys around the house, and you never minded when I used them. You even liked watching me use them. In fact, you only used them on me to help me feel good until you could get back to normal. Think of him as just another toy, just something to distract me and make me happy. I laughed at her ridiculous attempt to manipulate me. That guy? Why not just use his name, Leo Finn? And a toy doesn't take you dancing or to restaurants. You're used to that now, aren't you? So you know his name, she muttered. Fine. We used to go out for dinner, then dancing and all that. We took amazing vacations, cruises, and trips around the world. But with this virus, traveling stopped for months. You haven't been able to stay awake past 8 in the evening. She paused as if thinking. I'm surprised you know his name. I think you've been spying on me. I know you can't do it yourself. You can't safely drive with your unstable blood pressure. You might pass out behind the wheel. It's a waste of money to spy on me. I always come home to you. You don't need to know that I've had a little fun on the side. I don't like the idea of it bothering you, but I have needs, as I've already said. Leo is a toy. No different from any of my other toys. like the rabbit you gave me for my birthday. You remember how its ears used to wiggle when it was working. And what about Marcus Hayes? I continued bitterly. I take it Leo introduced you? Marcus steps in and keeps you entertained when Leo is busy. Damn you! You really are spying on me? She exclaimed. You've been checking my underwear, keeping tabs on me. It's creepy. All you do is scold me and make me feel even worse. You know you can't manage without me. I take you to your doctor's appointments, I cook your meals, and even just playing with your dog exhausts you. Your spying drives me insane. It's incredibly disrespectful that you're tracking my every move. Disrespectful? And those guys are just toys. I took a few deep breaths, feeling my blood pressure rise. And what about the things you've said to them about me? About how I'm incapable of anything? Sitting here at home playing with my dog. You told them you wanted me to lick their juices off you and how hot you thought that would be. You heard that? Yes, I said some pretty wild things, but it's not real. She bluffed. I was just boosting their egos. Both of those guys get a kick out of thinking they're humiliating another man, especially their boss. I assume you know they both work for your company, but they get so cocky when I stroke their egos. I want them to feel like they're on top of the world. They know I use them for sex, but they have no idea I think of them as nothing more than toys. Darling, you're my husband. Yes, I know I'm kept in suspense by these guys, but it's the same as using a toy. Wait a minute. You know about our private conversations? You're eavesdropping on me? Damn it. This is unacceptable. Alara exclaimed. Do you have a bug in my bag or in my apartment? Fine. I know you're angry, but we've been together for so long that we've become one. Yes, I've been with a couple of guys, but I always take care of you. Well, maybe not in a sexual way. I tried something, but you refused. I want to make you happy. These guys are nothing more than simple toys. Seriously, you don't want to admit that you're dripping with one of those guys. I stayed quiet, but my face burned. You're calling those two idiots just toys? Like any other toy? You have no respect for my feelings. It's disgusting. And it's not just about sex. You're getting pleasure from it. It's complete disregard for my feelings. A total lack of respect. Her disregard for my suffering only fueled my anger. Oh, don't raise your blood pressure, Alara said, her voice dripping with mock concern. Yes, these guys are just the modern version of a toy. You need to grow up, be a man. Well, a man whose tool doesn't work anymore. Accept the inevitable. I'm gonna sleep with these guys whenever I need to. They're just toys. I always come back home to you. You'll probably live another 25 years like your parents, well into your 80s, and I'll be by your side the whole time. So what if I get some pleasure from another man? It's you I love. We'll be together until the end. I ordered dinner for you. It should be delivered soon. I have a date and I'm gonna unwind a little. I was gonna tell you I needed to return to the office to finish a contract for tomorrow. But since you already know about my guys, I'll be honest. You'll even go to bed, and tomorrow when I'm back from work, we'll talk again. I'll be home in a couple of hours at most, but I know you'll already be asleep by then. You really need to start thinking of these guys as nothing more than toys. Relax, seriously. I growled, stunned by her audacity. After all this, you're still planning to have sex? Adulteress? Damn it. You know I hate that word. It's degrading and disrespectful. She yelled. You're seriously trying to push me over the edge? I've tried to be mindful of your feelings. That's why I kept my activities a secret. You want to call me an adulteress? Fine. When I get home, maybe I'll just climb into bed without showering, sweaty and reeking of sex. I want you to apologize. Get out. I turned and walked away. My loyal border collie, Coda, followed at my heels. At least I still had one friend who respected me. That night I slept poorly. The bed in the guest room was lumpy, but there was no way I'd sleep in my usual bed. If there had been a lock on the door, I would have used it. I suspected that she really hadn't bothered to shower off the filth before climbing into bed. I needed rest. I knew the next day would be busy, and I hoped I could endure it. I got up early and was sitting at the kitchen table, sipping coffee, when Alara walked in. I was planning my day. I had taken care of most of my tasks, but there were still a few things left to do. I ignored Alara's greeting as she poured herself a cup. Listen, we need to talk, she said. I'm sorry I threw my activities in your face. I did take a shower before going to bed, only to find that you weren't there. Maybe we can sit down and talk things through like adults. Once you get over your little irritation. Irritation? I thought incredulously. I did my best to keep a neutral expression, my mouth shut. I have needs, and these guys scratch that itch, but they mean no more to me than toys. She continued. I love you. We've had a wonderful marriage. We've raised 3 amazing children. I fully intend to stay with you. I want us to get along, and for that to happen, you need to understand and accept that if you can't meet my needs, I have to take care of them elsewhere. I'll do my best to make sure it doesn't interfere with our home life. I can see I may have overstepped. Oh, and I want you to stop eavesdropping on my conversations. I'm gonna find that bug, track it down, and destroy it. And if you recorded anything last night, for heaven's sake, don't listen to it. It'll only upset you further. But you're not going to stop, are you? I said quietly. You're not even sorry for destroying our marriage. I wonder what your guys will do when they get fired. Oh, you're not going to fire them, Elara said with a smirk. You'd be humiliated when your little weakness becomes public knowledge. Everyone will know the reason you fired them was because they were doing your job as my partner. And no, I am not going to stop, but I will be careful. I've got plans to go to the club tonight, since it's Friday, and I'll be home very late. But I'll spend tomorrow with you. If you're in a better mood, we can cuddle, maybe kiss, and enjoy some good alternative intimacy for both of us. Oh damn, look at the time. I need to get to work. I'll have to come back home to change after work. Here's something for you to think about. We don't need the money I earn or my career. I mostly keep working just to fill my days. Maybe I should quit and stay home with you. We could do things together, like buddies. My boyfriends are only available in the evenings anyway. Think about it. I'm glad we had this little talk. She smiled, a certain spring in her step as she walked out the door. In some ways, Elara was right. For one, I would have been upset if I had listened to the recording of her conversation last night. But I had already listened to it. I quickly skipped over the sexual part. The interesting part was how she vented. That conversation only strengthened my resolve, but not my tool. Alex knows about us, she said bluntly to someone, her voice carrying clearly. He's watching us and somehow planted listening devices to spy on us. She raised her voice slightly. Alex, if you're listening, you can kiss me, you know where. I heard the man I knew to be Marcus quietly curse under his breath. No, he's not going to fire you or Ben. He wouldn't want everyone to find out about his non-functional tool, and he's almost retired, so you won't have to deal with him at work much longer. I've been looking, but I haven't found any bugs yet. If there are any, he might have paid someone to plant them here. We might have to hire a professional to find them. All right, now I don't even care if he's listening. I understand he'd be furious if he found out about our little escapades. He only said something about having sex, but he didn't mention any of the really wild things we do. Wow, he must have really pissed you off. Marcus laughed. You chewed me out when I called him a limp idiot that one time. You don't even know half of it, Elara said angrily. He crossed the line. After I carefully explained that what the three of us have is just sex, he called me an adulteress. I was very close to kicking his ass. I'm in great shape and he's so weak he wouldn't stand a chance. I actually imagined holding him down and spanking him like I did with one of the kids years ago. I even threatened to go to bed tonight without showering. I know he'd bawl like a baby if I climbed onto his face and rubbed myself against him. He's going to learn who's the boss now. You already know that, don't you? Yes, ma'am, Marcus replied. It's so hot hearing you talk like that. I'm hard as a rock just imagining you doing it. Come on, let's go blow your mind. How about we call Ben and see if he wants to come over and join us? I didn't want to hear anymore. That was more than enough. I thought about the steps I had already taken. My business had been mine long before we got married. Elara was entitled to half of our shared assets, which were substantial, but I had changed my will to leave my half to our children. I completely removed her from my will. In some states, you can't disinherit a spouse, but in mine, you can. Despite Elara's optimistic view of my longevity, I had my doubts. But if I lived long enough, I planned to divorce this unfaithful woman. She would get as little as legally possible. I was sitting in my chair when Elara walked through the door that evening. Damn it, Ben, call me back, she was saying on the phone. I'm going to get dressed and take an Uber to the club. This is the 5th message I've left you. If you don't call me back, I'll call Marcus again. One of you or both. Better meet me. I'm not in the mood to be stood up. Elara paused to glance at me, sitting calmly. All right, you've heard me talking to my toys. You know that's exactly what they are, she said. She went into the bedroom and came out 20 minutes later in a little black dress that barely reached mid-thigh. You seem to be in a good mood, she continued. I hope our little chat last night and this morning about my friends, who mean no more to me than battery-powered toys, has finally sunk in. She smirked. You're smiling and seem very calm. I think the drink helps too, she added, noticing the bottle of whiskey on my side table and the full glass in my hand. I nodded. Well, I'm glad you've finally grown up enough to accept that my little indulgences on the side are just me scratching an itch. But drinking too much is probably not a good idea, especially not with your medications. Watch this, I said, calling Coda over. He immediately sat at attention. Lie down. Roll over. Sit. Beg. My loyal border collie performed flawlessly, even spinning in circles on command. Elara yawned. That dog is the only thing that's kept you distracted over the past few months. Great. I could tell she had other thoughts on her mind despite her words of encouragement. She stared at me for a few seconds. You really do seem happy and content. I think you're starting to understand that my little amusements don't mean much. They're just like using a couple of toys to make sure I get some pleasure, Alara repeated. From the way she said it, I could tell she wanted me to verbally agree with her. Check this out, I said enthusiastically, completely ignoring her words. Alara smirked and once again congratulated me on finally growing up and accepting her need to play around. I was already tired of her repeating herself and decided it was time to move on. I pointed to the plate on the table beside me, next to the bottle of whiskey. On it were 4 elongated pieces of meat. Alara barely glanced at them and shrugged. Coda performed flawlessly again. Alara watched calmly, occasionally checking her phone. I began feeding Coda pieces of meat as he obeyed commands and performed tricks. Do you think it's safe to feed a dog raw meat? She asked. I shrugged. Where the hell are those guys? Alara muttered again. I raised my hand, showing her the last piece of meat resting in my palm. At last, she took a closer look at it. Her eyes widened. That almost looks like, she said in a hoarse, almost whispering voice. Yep, I said. I took the batteries out of your toys. The last piece of raw, glistening meat tumbled from my palm into Coda's waiting mouth. He swallowed it in one gulp, then looked up at me, tail wagging, a perfect picture of innocent canine joy. Alara's face, which had been frozen in dawning horror, finally cracked. A low, guttural sound escaped her, a sound not unlike a trapped animal. Her eyes, wide and unfocused moments ago, snapped to the plate, then to Coda, then to me, a desperate, sickening clarity blooming in their depths. No, she whispered, the word barely a breath. No, you didn't. You can't have. They're gone. Her voice rose with each word, hysteria beginning to fray the edges. Gone, I confirmed, my own voice unervingly calm. I took a slow sip of my whiskey, the amber liquid warm on my tongue. Just like your little rabbit and your other vibrators. Useless without their power source. She stumbled backward, bumping into the wall, her hands flying to her mouth. Her little black dress, moments ago a symbol of her defiant freedom, now seemed terribly out of place, a gaudy splash against the grim reality of the kitchen. You're insane, she shrieked, finding her voice. You murdered them. You fed them to the dog. Oh my God. What have you done? Coda, sensing the shift in her tone, stopped wagging his tail and whimpered, nudging my leg. I reached down and stroked his head. He's a good boy, I said, my gaze never leaving hers. Always loyal, always listens. Unlike some people. I'll call the police, she screamed, fumbling for her phone in her tiny purse. Her fingers trembled so violently she dropped it, clattered to the tiled floor, the screen cracking. She stared at it, as if the broken device was another manifestation of her shattered world. You're welcome to, I said, a faint, bitter smile touching my lips. But remember what you said about my little weakness becoming public knowledge? How everyone would know why I fired them. Imagine what they'll say about this, about why your toys vanished, about what kind of woman drives a man to such lengths. Her eyes darted around the kitchen, as if searching for an escape, a denial, anything. The smugness, the condescension, the dismissive cruelty. It was all gone, replaced by pure, unadulterated terror. She looked at Coda, her expression a mix of revulsion and dawning understanding. And yes, I continued, pouring myself another drink, I listened to it all. Every vile word you spoke. Every humiliating fantasy. You wanted me to lick their juices off you? To scrub their filth from your body? To apologize for knowing what you are? I gestured to the empty plate. Consider this my apology. And my ultimate refusal. She slowly sank to the floor, her legs giving out, a silent gasp escaping her lips. The sound was thin like paper tearing. She didn't cry, didn't scream again. She just sat there, staring at the innocent dog, who now watched her with curious, tilted head. The silence that filled the kitchen was thicker than any sound, a profound, crushing stillness. I knew the police would come. I knew the questions would be relentless. I knew my life as I had known it was over. But as I looked at the woman who had once been my wife, now a broken, terrified shell, a strange, hollow peace settled over me. The fury, the rage, the crushing humiliation. It was all gone, replaced by a cold, quiet satisfaction. The battle, long and agonizing, was finally over. The batteries had been removed, and the toys, both human and mechanical, were now utterly, irrevocably silent. As the first distant wail of a siren pierced the evening air, I simply leaned back in my chair, Coda resting his head on my foot. For the first time in months, my blood pressure felt perfectly stable. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. See you next time.